When I checked into the hotel that night, I was exhausted from a long flight. All I wanted was a hot shower, food, and deep, peaceful sleep. My body felt heavy, my thoughts moved slowly. At the desk, I handed over my ID, barely looking up yet. The receptionist typed quietly, then suddenly stopped moving. Her eyes fixed on the glowing computer screen. Time stretched uncomfortably long between our shared silence. Without a word, she slid a different key across the polished counter. Her voice dropped low, tight with urgency inside. Please take this instead. Don't go to your room. I blinked, confused and tired. For a second, I thought I misheard her. The weak laugh escaped me. Why? Is something broken or leaking up there? Her face stayed serious. No hint of humor. She leaned closer, whispering, a please, just trust me. Something in her eyes made my chest tighten slightly. I accepted the new key, choosing not to argue. That simple choice saved my life that night. 5 minutes later, screams echoed from my original room. Before explaining what happened, subscribe to the channel now. Sleep. Comment where you're watching from. This story may change how you see hotels forever. My name is Nora Bennett, traveling through Denver, Colorado 2-day work trip. I'd traveled for work nearly 6 exhausting years. Hotels became automatic to me. Check in, unpack quickly, order food, sleep, repeat. That night felt wrong immediately. My flight was delayed endlessly. By arrival, it was almost midnight exactly. The lobby stood nearly empty. Only the night receptionist remained. Her name was Eliza. She looked polite yet drained, dark hair tied loosely back. A quiet hum filled air. A quiet hum filled air. The wall clock ticked softly. Good evening. Welcome here, she said with effort. Do you have reservations? I slid my cards forward. Yes, Bennett, room 308. Her expression changed instantly then. Typing stopped mid-motion completely. One moment, she whispered softly. With it, her eyes flicked toward hallway, then back to screen again. Her breathing quickened just slightly, lips pressed tight with worry. She glanced up at me. Miss Bennett, she murmured. She scanned the empty lobby. I'm changing your room now. Take this key instead. Room 312, please. You don't go to 308. My brow creased in confusion. Did something happen there? She hesitated far too long, then whispered, maintenance issues. You'll be safer here. Her words felt rehearsed, but her tone betrayed fear. She looked genuinely frightened inside. Exhaustion dulled my instincts. I took the key quietly. All right, thank you, I said, forcing calm. Walking toward elevators slowly, I felt her watching me. I turned once, briefly back. She hadn't moved at all. The third-floor hallway felt empty. Lights dimmed, shadows stretching long. Carpet swallowed my footsteps softly. Cleaning scents lingered faintly around. Suitcase wheels rattled behind me. I passed room 308 slowly. My assigned room stood there. The door sat slightly ajar. Just enough darkness showing inside. My stomach clenched with unease. I blamed housekeeping carelessness instead. Room 312 waited ahead. I unlocked it quickly inside. The room looked completely normal. White sheets, warm yellow lamps, a small television humming quietly. I double-checked the door lock. Dropped my bag on bed. Normalcy returned, at least briefly. The desk exchange faded momentarily. I kicked off my shoes, sat down, grabbing my phone. Messages waited from my brother. Ryan always worried about me. I made it safely, I typed. Crashing soon tonight. His reply came instantly back. Be safe. Locked door. I smiled despite nerves rising. Always the cop, I muttered in. Plugging in my phone, I heard something unsettling nearby. A faint thump echoed softly. Then a muffled voice followed. I froze, listening carefully now. The sound came again louder. It came from room 308. Then a violent crash rang out. A scream sliced through air. Cold fear flooded my veins. I stood frozen, heart racing. That scream came from there. The room meant for me. My chest pounded painfully hard. Shouting followed, then silence. I rushed toward my door, pressed my ear against wood. Heavy footsteps thundered nearby. Someone ran down hallway fast. A door slammed violently shut. Eliza's warning replayed clearly. Don't go to that room. Something horrible was unfolding nearby. I stood trapped within it. For seconds, my body refused, ears filled with heartbeat noise. That scream replayed endlessly inside. Silence returned, oppressive, thick, suffocating, unnatural silence. I strained to hear anything. Muffled voices echoed faintly. One sounded sharp and angry, the other trembled with terror. Words were impossible to catch. This wasn't a normal fight. Something was terribly wrong here. Hands shaking, I grabbed phone. I called the front desk. One ring, then dead silence. I tried again. Nothing. I texted Ryan frantically. Something's wrong at hotel. I heard screaming next door. His reply came instantly. Stay inside. Don't open. Calling police right now. I nodded without realizing. Another loud bang erupted nearby, closer this time than before, like a door being kicked. Wing kicked. My breathing turned shallow fast. I clutched the metal key as if it offered protection. A shadow passed by under my door. I crouched low, peeking through the tiny space between the floor and the bottom of the door. I watched through the gap, barely daring to blink. A pair of black shoes stopped directly outside my room. My stomach twisted painfully tight. Whoever stood there waited. Seconds stretched unbearably long. My legs ached from crouching. Then a man finally spoke. His voice sounded calm, steady. A security, he said evenly. Ma'am, are you all right inside? For half a second, I almost believed the lie. But something felt deeply wrong. His tone lacked real authority. It sounded far too relaxed, too smooth, too practiced. Not how real security speaks. Every instinct screamed danger loudly. My body urged silence only. I held my breath completely, didn't make a single sound. The man knocked once more, this time much harder. Mom, we must check. Please open the door. My muscles locked in fear. I refused to move still. After several tense knocks, footsteps finally stepped away. The sound faded down hallway. I exhaled in shaky relief. My entire body trembled uncontrollably. My phone vibrated suddenly. Ryan's name lit the screen. Police are on way. Stay calm, don't move. I typed it back quickly. Someone's pretending to be security. His reply came fast. A good. Then don't open. Time dragged painfully slow. Minutes felt like endless hours. I stayed seated by a door, back against cold carpet fibers. News. I strained to listen carefully. Faint noises echoed distantly. Doors opening, footsteps pacing. Then elevator creaked softly. Maybe they had left. Hope flickered briefly inside. Then another sound broke silence. A woman's voice cried weakly, shaky, trembling, desperate for help. Please, someone help me. It echoed from room 308. My stomach twisted violently again. That room was meant for me. I wanted to open door, to help her somehow. Fear rooted me firmly. What if it was trap? What if voice was fake? My hands pressed over ears, trying to block rising guilt. Then a chilling sound followed. A door slammed violently shut. A man's low laugh echoed. Cold terror flooded my veins. The woman's cries stopped instantly. Silence swallowed everything afterward. No footsteps, no voices. Nothing but heavy quiet. I couldn't endure not knowing. I needed answers immediately. I moved toward the window, looked down into darkness. 2 floors below I saw a white van parked quietly. Headlights completely turned off. A figure stood beside it, talking into a phone, too dark to see face. Something about his movements crawled. My skin prickled with dread. I grabbed my phone quickly, started recording through window glass. My hand shook uncontrollably hard. The video came out blurry. I didn't care anymore. I zoomed in tightly. Seconds passed slowly again. Then the man looked up, straight toward my window. As if he sensed me. Our eyes met briefly. My breath caught painfully short. He turned away calmly, walked around the van, then disappeared from sight. That's when panic fully hit. I locked the deadbolt fast, dragged a chair beneath handle, backed away shaking violently. My thoughts raced chaotically. Listened. Who were these people? Why did Eliza change rooms? My phone rang suddenly then. The front desk calling. My heart leapt painfully high. Hello, I whispered softly. Miss Bennett, Eliza's voice. It sounded quiet and shaking. A do not open door. Police are on way. Whatever happens, don't move. I swallowed hard, trembling. Eliza, what's happening? Who are these people? There was a long pause. I heard her breathing unevenly. Then she spoke quietly. I can't talk long. There's something you must know. Someone checked in tonight, using your name and ID. The system flagged it late. After you already arrived. That's why I moved you. My knees nearly buckled weakly. Someone else used my name? Yes, she said softly. They were meeting someone in that assigned room. And when I realized mistake, I changed your key to protect you tonight. I gripped phone tighter. Dear, who were they meeting? Before she could answer, I heard shouting behind her. Then sounds of struggle. Eliza, I shouted desperately. The line cut dead instantly. I stood frozen in silence. Breath shallow, heart pounding violently. Then from down hallway, heavy boots started running. Chilla. Straight toward my room, I backed away slowly, eyes locked on door. Ryan's words echoed loudly. Oh, don't open it ever. The footsteps stopped outside. Then came 3 slow knocks. Each knock felt deliberate, heavy, controlled, threatening. They vibrated through the door, straight into my chest. My breath hitched painfully. I clutched phone even tighter, praying desperately for it, for Eliza to call back, for police to finally arrive. But nothing happened at all. Only silence filled room and faint air conditioner hum. The knocks came again louder. Whoever stood there waited. They weren't leaving soon. A Miss Bennett, a voice said, deep, authoritative, controlled. It's the police, he claimed. We're checking all rooms. Please open the door. I froze. Police already. Ryan had said they were on their way, but I hadn't heard sirens yet. My instincts screamed something wrong. Every nerve warned me loudly. I hesitated near the door, stepped closer, heart pounding hard. But I didn't unlock it. Can you show me your badge through peephole? I called out carefully. Tried keeping voice steady. There was a long pause. Then his tone shifted suddenly, softer sounding, somehow colder. And Miss Bennett, if you don't open this door, we'll be forced inside. That confirmed everything instantly. He was not police. My hands started trembling badly. Sweat gathered behind my neck. I whispered to myself quietly, stay calm, stay quiet. Against the door lock, someone was trying to enter. My throat tightened painfully then. The chair under handle mattered. It might save my life. I pressed against the wall, texted Ryan with shaking hands. Someone trying to get in, pretending police. Room 312. Seconds later, his reply came. Confirmed now. Real police 5 minutes away. Do not open door. 5 minutes felt possible. I could survive 5 minutes. I crouched beside the bed. Lamp clutched tightly in hand. Eyes locked on the door. The scraping sound suddenly stopped. Quiet footsteps moved away. I held my breath again. Maybe he was gone, maybe this was over. Then a violent crash exploded. The door burst halfway open. It slammed against the chair. The chain lock strained loudly. Wood cracked under pressure. I screamed and stumbled backward. The lamp fell from hands. A man's arm forced through, reaching desperately for the chain. Get away from me, I screamed with pure terror, grabbed the lamp again. Swung it with everything. It struck his forearm hard. A sharp crack echoed loudly. He groaned in pain, pulled back into hallway. The door slammed shut again. Shoved the chair back. I shoved the chair back. Breathing hard, body shaking violently. My hands wouldn't steady. The pounding started again. Furious, relentless, and angry. You think you can hide? The man shouted from outside. You shouldn't have come here, Nora. He knew my name. My stomach dropped instantly. How did he know me? How did he know me? Reservation made only online. Whoever this was knew everything. Then, through the chaos, I heard distant sirens. Red and blue lights flashed. They cut through the blinds. Relief flooded my chest. Still, I didn't move. The pounding stopped abruptly. Footsteps ran down hallway. Toward the stairwell quickly. I listened until silence returned. Moments later, loud voices. Real voices this time. Police, drop your weapon. Hands where we see. A struggle followed briefly. Then shouting stopped suddenly. Silence again filled air. My phone buzzed again. Ryan was calling me. Honora, are you okay? His voice tense but steady. I think so, I whispered. My voice cracked badly. They tried getting inside. They knew my name. The police have someone, Ryan said calmly. Stay there. I'm coming. Minutes later, another knock, a real officer this time. He identified himself properly, showed badge through peephole. He entered slowly, carefully, tall, calm, professional demeanor. You're safe now, he said. You've got him. I collapsed onto the bed, shaking from head to toe. Who was he? I asked. The officer glanced at partner, then answered carefully. We believe he's connected to a group targeting women. Women traveling alone. The receptionist recognized his voice. That's why she switched rooms. Eliza, I whispered softly. Where is she now? Is she okay? He nodded reassuringly. Is she shaken but alive? If she saved your life, if she called us immediately. Tears filled my eyes then. I couldn't stop them. Relief felt overwhelming heavy. I covered my face, let out trembling breath. Officers escorted me downstairs. Paramedics filled the lobby. No. Police everywhere flashing lights. Eliza sat near desk, hands clasped tightly together. When she saw me, she stood up quickly, eyes red, face exhausted. He told you not to go there, she said, shaking slightly. I nodded, wiping tears. You saved me, I said. I don't know how. She looked down quietly. You don't have to. I just promise one thing. I never ignore your gut. It listens when logic doesn't. Before I could reply, an officer approached Eliza, asked for her statement. I watched her walk away. Steady, yet deeply haunted. She faced danger alone. For someone she barely knew, because of her courage, I was still alive. Outside, cool night air. I finally breathed deeply. Patrol lights reflected brightly. My reflection stared back. Pale, exhausted, but alive, I realized how close. I had nearly become one of those headlines. Woman found dead hotel room, but I wasn't because one woman noticed. She paid attention when others didn't. That night changed everything. How I traveled forever, how I trusted people, how I listened to instincts. Deep inside, I knew this story wasn't finished. Danger past, truth remained. Danger past, truth remained. Waiting to be uncovered. The next morning, I woke in a room unfamiliar now. Sunlight poured weakly through curtains. It brought no comfort, only made things real. I spent night giving statements, answering terrifying questions repeatedly. They said I was safe, but I didn't feel safe. But not without answers yet. Police escorted me downstairs again for a final interview. The lobby looked different, crowded with officers everywhere. Reporters whispered with staff. The front desk taped off where Eliza once stood. My stomach twisted painfully. She wasn't behind counter. Oh, where's Eliza's? Yeah, I asked. An officer hesitated briefly. She's in the back. Giving her statement now? She's been cooperative. That word felt wrong. She hadn't cooperated. She had saved me. When I saw her again, she looked pale, exhausted. Hands trembled holding coffee. I sat across from her. Detective nearby flipped notes. We've confirmed, he began. The man last night was part of a group. They target women traveling alone. For months across hotels. They book fake identities. Switch rooms with help. Most hotels never realize until it's too late. Eliza's eyes filled with tears. That's how I knew, she said quietly. Something was wrong. Man checked in before you. He used your name. He claimed the reservation earlier. He arrived before you tonight. He stood at front desk, said he lost his ID, but showed booking confirmation screen, held phone up confidently there. It nearly worked on staff. My chest tightened painfully, hearing. So they impersonated me first. Before I even arrived there, she nodded slowly while listening. When you walked inside lobby, I realized immediately something wrong. I had seen your ID earlier during his false check-in. The photo did not match. It clearly wasn't you. That's when I switched keys. The detective continued calmly speaking. He wasn't working by himself. There were two others involved. The woman's screams you heard came from earlier victim attack. She survived barely that night. If Eliza hadn't switched rooms, you would have been next. Those words hit like ice. Cold water crashing over me. I pressed hands on knees, trying to steady shaking body. The detective explained their methods. From moment you posted online about your Denver trip publicly, they knew exactly when arriving. My throat dried instantly then. I remembered the photo posted. Boarding pass shared that morning. Caption read, Denver, here I come. I posted without thinking twice, like everyone else always does. But someone had been watching. Eliza looked at me sadly. You did nothing wrong here. She said softly and gently, you couldn't have known this. Still guilt settled deep inside. I walked straight into plan. Without Eliza's sharp intuition, I might not escape alive. The detective handed me papers. Printed sheets with official statements. We caught the man attacking you. One accomplice arrested near border. Early this morning, they said. The third suspect remains missing, but we expect capture soon. I nodded, though stomach hollow. What happens now, I asked. They'll face serious criminal charges. Serious criminal charges. Assault, attempted murder, fraud counts. You'll be contacted for trial. Until then, remain very cautious. If anyone contacts you suspiciously, pretending law enforcement or hotel, call us immediately, he said. After signing final paperwork, I turned toward Eliza quietly. Why did you risk it? You could have ignored everything. Gone home safely instead tonight. She looked down at hands. Voice low but steady now. A year ago, I ignored instincts. Someone got hurt because me. I promised myself never again. If I saw signs return, I wouldn't look away again. Something in her voice lingered. Grief, regret, heavy and real. She had lived this before. I wanted to ask more. But detective returned, interrupting us. Led her away reviewing footage. Outside police cars were gone. Hotel returned eerie normality again. Guests moved like nothing happened. I stood by glass doors, staring at empty parking lot where white van once waited. Though empty now, memory lingered. As I prepared to leave, Ryan's car pulled up outside. He rushed out, hugging me. "You scared me badly," he said, his voice rough with emotion. I laughed weakly, replying, "Join." He looked at me seriously. "This could have ended differently." "I know," I answered quietly. "I will never forget this." We drove away silently together. Denver skyline blurred past windows. Morning sun glowing softly there. People walked, laughed, sipped coffee, unaware how close danger hides. Later, waiting airport departure gate. My phone buzzed unexpectedly then. Text from unknown number arrived. My heart skipped, instantly reading. "You were lucky this time, Nora." I froze completely in place. Fingers turned ice cold suddenly. No name, no number shown. Just 6 haunting words displayed. I showed Ryan, immediately trembling. He called detective, forwarding message. Officer said likely missing suspect. Possibly sent before phone destroyed. They were still tracking him. He said not to worry. But worry stayed deep inside. That man watched longer than night. He studied my habits closely, knew my name, fears, routines. When boarding flight finally home, I sat window seat, gripping belt. Plane lifted into clouds smoothly. City vanished beneath white haze. I whispered thanks to Eliza, to Ryan standing beside me, and to inner warning voice that listened when wrong felt. That night changed how I see. Evil doesn't hide only alleys. It can wear polite smiles, stand behind check-in counters. As plane steadied midair, I promised myself one thing: never ignore instincts again. Sometimes a stranger's warning saves. Between life and certain death, next week's felt unreal living. Every sound made me jump. Every stranger triggered doubt again. Even home didn't feel safe. Doors locked twice nightly now, windows checked before every sleep. Sleep became distant, unfamiliar stranger. Night awakenings, heart racing fast. Certain someone waited outside again. Brian insisted I take leave. For once I actually listened. I needed time, space, understanding. To let mind catch body. At first I buried memories. Stayed busy avoiding the truth. But truth never fades ignored. One afternoon, cleaning my living room, I found Detective's Given folder. Inside were printed copies of my police statement, photographs, and a few pages from the case report. I sat down quietly there, on the couch alone. I read them slowly again. Every word, every line, every line. That's when realization hit. Something I missed before. My story wasn't only mine. It wasn't just personal. It could happen anywhere, to anyone at all. That thought stayed with me. It refused to fade away. So instead of hiding silently, I chose to start speaking. Ryan helped me reach out. A local women's safety group. They worked with crime victims, online and travel related cases. They asked if I'd speak, share my experience publicly. At one of their meetings, I almost said no immediately. The thought made me sick. Standing there reliving everything, that night twisted my stomach. But Eliza's words returned. Never ignore your gut feeling. My instincts told me go, so I listened this time. When the day finally came, I stood inside a center, a small community building. About 30 women gathered, students, nurses, flight attendants, business travelers just like me. As I started speaking softly, I saw their faces change, the same fear reflected back. Disbelief, shock, silent dread, the emotions I once felt. By the end, though, their faces looked different, determined, focused, empowered. Afterward, people approached me, thanking me for speaking. One woman shared her story. She'd been followed once, ignored it, brushed off fear. "After hearing you," she said, "I'll trust myself always." That moment changed me deeply. It didn't erase trauma, but it gave meaning. I wasn't only a victim. I became someone useful, someone who could help. The investigation still continued. The third suspect remained missing, the one who texted me, "You were lucky this time, Nora." 3 weeks later, they caught him, hiding in another state, using a false identity. When detective called me, I didn't feel relief yet. I just felt exhausted inside. Later that same evening, sitting on my porch, holding a warm cup, a calm finally settled. It was truly over. I chose to visit Denver for one final time again. The hotel had reopened, new management, new staff. I wanted to see Eliza, to thank her properly. When I arrived there, she looked surprised, happy. We sat at a cafe, across the street quietly. She looked different somehow, stronger, lighter, steadier. "I still think about it," I admitted honestly. "I don't know if I'd be here." She smiled gently back. "To thee? You would have survived. You're stronger than you think." I was terrified, I said. So was I, she replied. Courage isn't fearlessness. It's acting despite fear. We talked for an hour about life after fear, how it changes you, makes you cautious yet alive. Before leaving, she handed me a small sealed envelope. Inside was a note. Keep listening to your instincts. They saved you once. They'll save you again. When I got home, I framed that note. Hung it by door. Every time I leave, I see it clearly. A reminder of that night. And those who helped, slowly I felt normal, but a new normal, more alert, more aware. So I stopped sharing locations, stopped posting travel plans. At hotels, I double check. Locks, exits, staff badges. Some call it paranoia. I call it wisdom earned, paid for with fear. Ryan still jokes sometimes about my safety habits. Flashlight, alarm, pepper spray. I laugh because he's right. Preparedness equals power now. I once thought danger distant, only happens to others. Now I know better. One evening, I wrote everything to process my emotions. It became something bigger, a story meant to help, not to scare anyone, but to prepare them. That's why I shared it here on this channel, because stories like mine aren't just about fear, they're about survival too, intuition and small choices, moments deciding our fate. Sometimes I still hear screams in dreams late nights. From the room meant for me, I wake up shaking, heart racing wildly again. Then I remind myself, I survived. I'm alive, given a second chance. Now, when I check in, I make eye contact, thank the desk worker, listen to tone carefully, watch expressions and energy. Heroes don't always wear uniforms. Sometimes they whisper warnings. From behind a front desk, that night changed my life. It gave my life meaning. If sharing helps one person, everything was worth it. If this story moved you, make sure to subscribe to the channel and comment below where you're watching from. Your support helps me share more real stories that remind us to stay alert, stay kind, and always trust our instincts.